What's up, everyone? Today we're diving into something that might completely change how you look at your food labels, especially if you've ever traveled to the US or ordered imported snacks. We're talking about 5 chemicals that are straight up banned in the UK, but are still being used in foods in other countries, particularly the United States. These are unjust random ingredients that regulators do. Unlike these are chemicals that have been shown to potentially cause serious health problems, from cancer to respiratory issues. The UK and EU have said absolutely not to these additives, but millions of people in other countries are still consuming them daily without even knowing it. I'm going to rank these from number 5, which is concerning but relatively less dangerous, all the way to number 1. The absolute worst offender you need to avoid at all costs. Stick around because number 1 might already be hiding in your pantry right now. Let's get into it. Number 5. Brominated vegetable. OIL-BVO. Coming in at number 5 is brominated vegetable oil, or BVO. Now you might be wondering what the heck this event is, and trust me, once you hear about it, you'll be checking your drinks immediately. BVO is used as an emulsifier in citrus-flavored sodas and sports drinks. Its job is to keep the flavoring oils evenly distributed throughout the drink, so they do unfloat to the top. Sounds innocent enough, right? Wrong. The problem is that it contains bromine, a chemical element that's also found in flame retardants. Yes, you read that correctly. Flame retardants. The UK banned BVO from food and drinks because studies have shown some seriously concerning effects. When you consume BVO regularly, bromine can accumulate in your body fat over time. This bioaccumulation has been linked to several health issues, including memory loss, skin problems, and nerve disorders. There have been documented cases of people who drank more than 2 liters of BVO containing soda daily developing memory problems and actual nerve damage. Animal studies from decades ago showed that high doses caused heart lesions and reproductive problems in rats. While those were high doses, experts agree that even low levels are concerning because bromine builds up in your system over time, doesn't just pass through. The EU, UK, and Japan all banned BVO years ago, yet it remained legal in the United States until very recently. Major companies like Coca-Cola and PepsiCo have phased it out of their main brands like Mountain Dew and Fanta, but smaller brands and store-brand citrus sodas may still contain it. Why does BVO rank at number 5? While it's definitely not something you want in your body, you'd typically need to consume large amounts regularly for serious problems to develop. It's also relatively easy to avoid since it's mainly in bright orange or tropical flavored drinks. Just check the ingredient list for brominated vegetable oil or BVO and you're good to go. Still, the fact that it's in the same chemical family as flame retardants should be reason enough to steer clear. Number 4. Certain artificial food dyes yellow. 5 yellow 6 red 40. At number 4, we have a group of artificial food coloring agents that make your snacks look vibrant and appealing, but come with some serious baggage, particularly yellow no. 5, yellow no. 6, and red no. 40. These synthetic dyes, also called azo dyes, are petroleum-derived chemicals that give foods their bright, eye-catching colors. You'll find them in everything from candies and cereals to soft drinks and baked goods. While they're not completely banned in the UK, their use is heavily restricted, and any food containing them must carry a warning label stating they may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. The biggest concern with these dyes is their link to hyperactivity and behavioral problems in children. Multiple studies have shown a connection between artificial food coloring and increased hyperactivity, reduced attention span, and other behavioral issues in kids. This is why the UK requires warning labels. Parents have a right to know that these chemicals could be affecting their children's behavior and ability to focus. Beyond hyperactivity, there are additional concerns. Yellow 5, also known as tartrazine, has been associated with allergic reactions in some individuals, including hives, runny nose, and even asthma attacks in sensitive people. Studies on red 40 have raised questions about potential DNA damage, though the evidence is still being evaluated. Some research suggests these dyes may also be contaminated with cancer-causing substances during the manufacturing process. The really frustrating part? These dyes are completely unnecessary. Companies in the UK and Europe use natural alternatives like beet juice, turmeric, and other plant-based colorings that are just as effective without the health risks. When companies sell products internationally, often have to formalize one with artificial dyes for the US market and one with natural colors for European markets. It proves these chemicals aren't needed. They're just cheaper. Why rank them at number 4? Well, the behavioral effects are concerning, especially for children. You won't drop dead from eating a handful of Skittles. The risks are more cumulative and particularly problematic for developing brains. However, the fact that they're so widespread in processed foods, especially those marketed to children, makes them a significant concern that more people need to be aware of. Number 3, azodicarbonamide, ADA, the yoga mat chemical number. 3 is going to blow your mind. It's azodicarbonamide, or ADA. And it's earned the nickname the yoga mat chemical. Yes, you heard that right. The same chemical used to make yoga mats soft and spongy is used in bread and baked goods in some countries. ADA is a dough conditioner that helps bread rise higher, stay fluffy, and have a better texture. It also acts as a bleaching agent to make flour whiter. Sounds great for bakers, but here's the problem. When ADA is heated during baking, it breaks down into 2 compounds, semicarbazide and urethane. Semicarbazide is a weak carcinogen that has caused tumors in animal studies, while urethane is recognized as a potential cancer-causing agent. The UK banned ADA from food completely, and it's also prohibited throughout the European Union and Australia. But wait, there's more. The UK Health and Safety Executive has identified ADA as a respiratory sensitizer, meaning it can cause asthma and other breathing problems. Studies of factory workers exposed to ADA powder have shown increased rates of asthma, respiratory symptoms, and skin sensitization. While eating bread containing ADA is different from breathing in the pure chemical in a factory setting, the breakdown products that form during baking are still concerning. The World Health Organization reviewed ADA and concluded that while the exact level of risk is uncertain, exposure should be reduced as much as possible. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement, and even the WHO is saying we're not sure how bad this is, but let's minimize it. That should raise red flags. Here's what really gets me. Major US chains like Subway, McDonald's, and Wendy's used ADA in their bread for years. After public pressure, particularly from food bloggers and petitions, many have removed it, but it's still legal in the US and used by some manufacturers. The FDA considers it generally recognized as safe at levels up to 45 parts per million. Meanwhile, Europe said nope decades ago. ADA ranks at number 3 because while the cancer risk from eating bread occasionally isn't huge, the fact that it breaks down into carcinogenic compounds during baking is deeply concerning. Plus, the respiratory issues documented in workers suggest this chemical is genuinely harmful to human health. There is absolutely no reason this needs to be in our bread when safer alternatives like ascorbic acid, vitamin C work just as well. Number 2. Sudan dyes at number 2. We have Sudan dyes, and these are nasty pieces of work. These aren't your regular artificial food colorings. These are industrial dyes that should never be anywhere near food, yet they keep showing up in imported products. Sudan dyes are synthetic azo compounds, usually Sudan I, 2, 3, and 4, that were originally developed for coloring plastics, textiles, and gasoline. Let me repeat that. These dyes were made for industrial use, not for human consumption. They're used to give foods a reddish-orange color, and they've been found in chili powder, paprika, curry powder, palm oil, and various spices and sauces. The UK and EU have maintained a zero-tolerance policy on Sudan dyes since 2003, after they were discovered in various food products. Why such a hard stance? Because Sudan dyes are classified as Category 3 carcinogens. They're genotoxic and carcinogenic, meaning they can damage your DNA and cause cancer. Studies have shown that Sudan dyes, particularly Sudan I, can cause liver tumors and cancer in laboratory animals. When your body metabolizes these compounds, they break down into chemicals called aromatic amines, which are known to be carcinogenic. Essentially, when you eat foods containing Sudan dyes, your body converts them into cancer-causing substances. The really scary part is that Sudan dyes keep appearing in food despite being banned. There have been multiple international food safety alerts over the years, when these dyes were discovered in imported spices, sauces, and food products. In 2005, there was a massive recall in the UK when Sudana was found in Worcester sauce that had been added to hundreds of different products. We're talking about a contamination that affected over 400 products from supermarket shelves. Some unscrupulous manufacturers use Sudan dyes because they're cheap and provide a vibrant color. They're particularly common in products from countries with less stringent food safety regulations. The problem is that consumers couldn't tell just by looking whether a product contains these banned dyes. You're relying entirely on food safety inspections and honest manufacturers. Sudan dyes rank at number 2 because they re-sprout industrial chemicals that have no business being in food. The cancer risk is real and documented. While you might not encounter them often in UK shops due to strict controls, they highlight the importance of buying from reputable sources and being wary of certain imported spices and products from regions with looser food safety standards. Number 1. Potassium bromate. And here we are at number 1, the absolute worst offender on our list. Potassium bromate. If you're eating bread or baked goods from certain countries, especially the United States, there's a real chance you're consuming this carcinogenic chemical right now. Potassium bromate is a flour improver and oxidizing agent that's been used in baking since 1914. It makes dough stronger, helps it rise higher, and gives bread that perfect white color and fluffy texture that bakers love. Sounds wonderful for bread making, but here's the horrifying truth. Potassium bromate is a known carcinogen. The UK banned potassium bromate way back in 1990, over 3 decades ago, after research clearly demonstrated its cancer-causing potential. The EU, Canada, Brazil, China, India, and many other countries have also banned it. In 1999, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified it as a group to be carcinogen, meaning it's possibly carcinogenic to humans. Let me break down why this chemical is so dangerous. Laboratory studies have shown that potassium bromate significantly increases the incidence of tumors in multiple organs, particularly the kidneys, thyroid, and the peritoneum, the lining of your abdominal cavity. Animals exposed to bromate developed both benign and malignant tumors. The mechanism is clear. Potassium bromate causes oxidative damage to DNA. It literally damages the genetic material in your cells, which is how cancer starts. The food industry has long argued that bromate is safe because it's supposed to convert completely into potassium bromide during baking, which isn't carcinogenic. But here's the kicker: UK testing found that potassium bromate remains detectable in bread after baking. They tested 6 unwrapped breads, and all 6 contained measurable levels of bromate. Of 22 packaged breads tested, 7 still had detectable bromate levels. So the industry's claim that it all converts during baking? It's been proven false. Research has also shown that bromate causes damage at the cellular level that's proportional to the amount consumed, meaning there is no truly safe level. Even small amounts cause DNA damage. Models show a linear dose-response relationship, which is the worst-case scenario for any toxic substance. Here's what makes this truly infuriating. Despite being banned in most developed nations, potassium bromate remains legal in most of the United States. The FDA approved it back in the 1960s, did one literature review in 1973, and hasn't properly reassessed it since. California is the only U.S. state that requires warning labels on products containing it, thanks to Proposition 65. The Environmental Working Group has identified over 200 products in the U.S. that contain potassium bromate, including tortillas, pretzels, and various baked goods. Americans are unknowingly consuming a carcinogenic chemical in their daily bread that's been banned in most of the developed world for decades. Potassium bromate is number 1 on this list because it's a confirmed carcinogen that damages DNA, causes tumors in multiple organs, and persists in baked goods after cooking. The science is crystal clear. The UK and most countries banned it long ago, yet it's still widely used elsewhere. If you're buying imported baked goods or visiting the US, check labels carefully for potassium bromate or E9-4. Conclusion. So there you have it, 5 chemicals that are banned in the UK but still found in foods around the world, ranked from concerning to absolutely terrifying. Let's recap quickly. Number 5. Brominated vegetable oil contains flame retardant chemicals that accumulate in your body. Number 4. Artificial food dyes like yellow 5 and red 40 are linked to hyperactivity in children and require warning labels in the UK. Number 3. Ozodicarbonamide. The yoga mat chemical breaks down into carcinogenic compounds when you bake with it. Number 2. Sudan dyes are industrial chemicals that cause DNA damage and cancer. And number 1. Potassium bromate is a known carcinogen that damages DNA and causes tumors in multiple organs. The big takeaway here isn't to panic about every piece of food you eat, it's to be informed and make conscious choices. The UK and European Union use what is called the precautionary principle if they're reasonable. Evidence that something might be harmful, they ban it or restrict it until proven safe. The US, on the other hand, tends to allow ingredients until they're proven dangerous, which means Americans and people in other countries are essentially guinea pigs for chemical testing. What can you do? First, read ingredient labels carefully, especially on imported products. Second, choose foods made with natural ingredients whenever possible. Third, be especially cautious with products made for the US market if you're ordering online or traveling. And fourth, spread awareness. The more people know about these banned chemicals, the more pressure there is on companies and regulators to remove them. Remember, food manufacturers prove these chemicals are unnecessary by making completely different formulas for European markets using safe alternatives. If they can do it for Europe, they can do it everywhere. Stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.